Members of the Great Anishinaabe Nation, including Algonquin, Ojibwe, and Ottawa. We recognize and honor the Mississauga people as the traditional stewards of the land, governed by the Williams Treaties and the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Agreement. While International Women's Day is a time of celebration, it is also a day to acknowledge the systemic barriers Indigenous women continue to face. In Canada, Indigenous women and girls experience higher rates of violence, poverty, and discrimination compared to non-Indigenous women. On International Women's Day, it is essential to amplify Indigenous women's voices and demand concrete steps towards justice, safety, and healing. Whether it's purchasing from Indigenous women-owned businesses, engaging with Indigenous-led initiatives, or engaging oneself on Indigenous histories and perspectives, every action contributes to reconciliation and empowerment. So this March 8th, let us together not just celebrate women, let's stand with Indigenous women, acknowledge their voices, and work toward a future of equality and justice for all. So without further ado, as you can see on my right, I have the wonderful Miriam Abdul Rashid. So, is this better? Okay, kind of. So Miriam is a 100-meter hurdler for Team Canada and recently competed at the Paris 2024 Olympics. She is a Durham local, having grown up in Oshawa, Ontario, and has a master's degree in communication and media studies from the University of East London and a bachelor's degree in liberal arts and sciences from the University of Texas. So what we're going to do today is I have a couple questions that I'd like to ask Miriam, and she can kind of share her experiences, her thoughts, and then I'd like to open it up to all of you in the audience as well if you have any questions for Miriam for me to answer. All right, so we'll get started. So Miriam, can you share a bit about your journey to the Paris 2024 Olympics, and what were some of the biggest challenges you faced along the way?
Yeah, so I've been running track since I was 6 years old. I grew up on a farm, yeah, like you. I grew up on a farm in Rosemead, which is like an hour and a bit from here. And we just had 11 acres of land and lots of room to run around with my dog and my siblings. And my parents could just tell that there was going to be a runner in the family. We've had one before. My great uncle was an Olympian for Trinidad and the 4x800 back when that was a thing. So yeah, they're like, I think we have another runner in the family. And we moved to Oshawa first after Rosemead to be closer to our sports, because I joined a track club at 6 years old. So they almost didn't take me because they're like, you're so young, you don't think you can do it, like you're too little. My dad was like, give her one practice, give her one chance, and then decide. So I ran my heart out that practice, and my coach Sharon, who turned out to be one of my biggest supporters of my entire career, was partly my coach and partly my babysitter. And yeah, and then I just went to University of Texas after a really great high school career. And that didn't go exactly as planned, but I knew that I still had that Olympic dream since I was 6 years old, and I just wasn't ready to give it up, even though I was technically supposed to go be an adult and get a job and use the degree I just spent all that time working on, but I just wasn't done yet. So I came home back to Oshawa, found my coach here, started training here at the Ability Center again, which I did in high school in the past. Yeah, I pretty much just went back to what I knew worked. I ran fast in high school, and I said, go back to what you know worked the first time. So that's exactly what I did. And I would say the biggest obstacle that I faced was in college was my injuries. And the physical injuries led to mental health struggles, because I kind of go through that thing that a lot of athletes go through where you wrap your identity in your sport. So I kind of had to separate myself from the dream, separate myself from who I was as an athlete, figure out who I was as a person. So when I moved back to Canada, I decided I know who I am. If this doesn't work out, I don't need the Olympics. I really want it, but I'm just going to give it a shot. And I think just letting it go allowed me to actually get it.
That's amazing. So many athletes have that identity crisis, and it's amazing that you were able to recognize it and kind of take that step back and kind of readjust your goals.
I really recommend to go through that whole who am I outside of sports before you have to. Like I was forced to. I wasn't running fast. I had to just sit with myself. But if you can, while sports aren't going well, take the time to separate yourself so that sports can just be fun for most of it. I didn't have to suffer the way that I did.
And looking back, you actually did end up making it to the Olympics. So kind of my next question for you is, what was your experience like competing on the world's biggest stage?
Oh my gosh. I have always loved the biggest track meets, the largest stages. That's what I dreamed of. When I pictured the Olympics as a kid, I pictured a stadium full of people cheering. I pictured being super emotional. I pictured my family crying and my family in the stands cheering. That's exactly what happened. Just 80,000 people, full stadium at every event. And track is not super popular as a Super Bowl. But I was really lucky to have the Olympics in Europe, because Europe loves track. So they top to bottom, full of people. It was so loud. I had a French girl in my race, which I wanted, because I knew that crowd would go crazy as soon as they announced her, and it did. It was truly everything I dreamed that it would be.
And with you saying like it was so huge, like comparing that to other competitions that you've done, was it almost like overwhelming, or were you like, bring it on?
I'd gone to a World Championships the year before, which I think helped prepare me, because I think that was my biggest meet at that point. So I feel like I took a lot of time like looking around and was just like so excited to be there that I then didn't remember my race plan. So it wasn't necessarily that I was nervous, because I love those big moments, but I wasn't focused. So I knew that when I got to the Olympic track, take the time to look around, because you don't want to miss it. You spent 20 years before this moment. Look around, take the time, and then dial in. So 12 seconds later, then I left it run again.
So thinking of like how many Canadian athletes went to Paris and just all those countries coming together, was there any like special standout moments that made the Olympics just even more special to you?
My favorite moment by far, right? You get to the track, you warm up, and after a while they call you in like maybe 30 minutes before you race, and you have to go through all the like boring logistics. Like they check your bib number, they check your spikes, they make sure you are who you say you are, and you sit around and you walk from point A to point B. You finally get to point C, and I'm underneath the stadium. It's kind of like this from here, and the stands are like the ceiling technically. You can hear the thunder of the crowd. And I don't know if anyone has like performed on stage, but I imagine that's what like a rock star would feel like right before. I can hear the fans out there, they can see the stage, and they're just waiting for their moment to step out. And the track was beautiful. It was purple, which never happens. They made the whole stadium like this violet color. And again, it was full, the sun was shining, and I remember being underneath the shadow of the underground of the stadium, just hearing it, and then that moment when I stepped out was my favorite part. I literally just felt like, I'm here, I did it.
That's incredible. And your adrenaline probably was already high, and then it just kind of these spikes even more, just kind of like.
Oh yeah. But it was what I've been waiting for, and I just knew I was ready for that. It felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be.
That's amazing. So my next question for you is, you kind of touched upon on how you were running in your backyard, but have you always dreamed of going to Olympics? And when did it fully click that like, yes, I can actually do this, and realize it was a reality, like you could do it?
My family's a sports family, so it wasn't crazy that I was gonna be an athlete to some capacity. I'm very grateful that I had the family that I do have, because they really encourage us to go after big dreams. So me at 6 years old saying I was going to the Olympics, like in my house with my family, just wasn't a crazy thing. So I feel like I've always known, which is why I knew I wasn't ready to give it up. I wasn't ready to stop trying, even if I didn't get it. But yeah, from 6 years old, I was thinking to the Olympics.
That's amazing. So they were like your first like supportive backbone to your career.
Absolutely, yeah.
Amazing. Next one I have for you is, what barriers have you faced as a woman in sport, and how have you overcome them?
I'd say maybe when I was younger. When I was younger, I guess you have that battle, especially when you are going into high school. Luckily, I really love sports, so it wasn't super hard, but there is that like hole when you turn those like really, really formative years in high school where a lot of women and girls stop playing sports. No one wants to be gross and sweaty anymore. People they get distracted with like jobs and family and relationships. And sometimes you're like, what am I doing when my friends are out having fun? I used to go for runs with my dad. He was on a bike and I was running, and I used to run past my friends having fun. So sometimes I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what is this all for? But I think I just always had that bigger picture in mind that made it okay. And I had supportive friends. They didn't want me to stop sports either, which I think is important. If your circle knows that this is just a moment you're having where you feel like, what am I doing? They can help you see the bigger picture if you can't that day. And I would say as an adult, a struggle that I might have would be to be able to speak my mind and stand up for myself and advocate for myself as a woman without coming across as a mean woman. I'll say it like that. And I'm starting to realize, I'm like, if some people think that about me, I'm like, that's okay. I have to put myself first sometimes. But I'm learning that balance of speaking up for myself and not being afraid to let people down, or maybe not think that I'm sunshine and roses all the time, because I'm not. And I don't have to be for anybody.
Yeah, even like just having the ability to be able to say no sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like there's more pressure on girls and women to be super happy and smiling and nice and accommodating all the time. And that's one, not how you become a champion, and two, it's just not fair. I don't have to.
This isn't a question I have, that's just one that just popped in my mind. So just kind of with you saying that, like those expectations of this is what a woman looks like, this is what an athlete should look like. Has there ever been any like challenges you faced of like, I can't be too strong, or this is how a woman should look. They need to be beautiful, they can't be tough, and things like that?
Yeah, like I feel like a lot of athletes feel weird about their muscles sometimes. I still feel like that, where I'm like wearing a pretty dress. Oh my gosh, I went to my friend's wedding. The day is supposed to be about the bride and her dress, and the focus is on her, and I'm wearing a dress, and I think I look great. Everybody was talking about my back muscles the entire time, and I'm so glad I grew up with her. She's literally my childhood best friend, my neighbor, and I had made the Olympic team at this point, and I hadn't gone, and everybody, I think, talked about me going to the Olympics, and my muscles the same amount as we did the bride and the groom. I was like, oh my gosh. So sometimes I'm like, but it's a special thing to be able to look like this, and now I'm just proud what my body can do is more the focus.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just always like to ask this question just because I feel like we've had a really big year with women's sport, with the Northern Super League getting started.
Mm-hmm.
The PWHL is having an amazing year, and I feel like we're making so much progress with women's sport, but there's just still so much more to go. So to you, I wanted to ask, like, have you noticed any progress in gender equity in your sport over the years, like specifically in track, and where do you think there's still work to be done?
Oh, we had like an all-women's track meet this year for the first time, and the women made a lot of money, which is nice. Because track doesn't make a lot of money in general, and I feel like women in track are doing phenomenal. And it was nice to showcase that and get paid for it, like deservingly. And I want to be in that meet next year, and I'm like hitting up the meet directors, like, hello, like, yeah, to be in it next year. They just did a great job. All the advertising, all the media they've done since, all the covers they did. They had Meg Thee Stallion come perform, like they filled the stands with kids, and yeah, it was great. And had it in New York, which was fun. They made a whole weekend out of it, where the girls didn't just show up and run and go home. They like got to bond and do stuff. And they got paid as they should. Like, as they should. They deserve. So the women they had at this event were carrying track, and they deserve to be celebrated.
That's incredible. I love hearing that.
Yeah.
And leading up to the Olympics, did you find like the media coverage was very similar to the female athletes compared to the male athletes?
I would think so. I want to say yes, but maybe someone who was like honestly, no. I would say it was pretty even. Yeah. I think the Olympics, it does a pretty good job of focusing on who the stars are, regardless of, and a great story. That's how I felt. I feel like people with great stories and people who were expected to do great things got the coverage.
Totally. The next one I have for you is, what role do you think representation plays in inspiring young girls to pursue competitive athletics?
Oh, it's everything. Yeah. My role model was Perdita Feliciano. She's from Pickering. She's 5'4". I always say she's a 5'4", dark-skinned black girl from Pickering. So I'm like, I looked at her when I was little and I said, that's me. Like, that is me. And I now am in the same bubble of the times that she ran. I'm going to the same events with her. She knows who I am now. And I get to tell her, like, I had a poster of you in my room my whole life. because I was like, I'm gonna do what she did. And I'm lucky that Canada had a lot of great hurdlers, but she was the one, because she looked just like me. And I said, if she can do it, I can do it. I see no difference. Yeah.
Did you find that really influenced your career of like having that person to like look up to, be that role model?
I think so. I think it's nice to have people to catch, even in a competitive way. Yeah, I really just looked at her and saw no difference. I was like, I'm in Oshawa, you're in Pickering, we're using the same facilities, we train at the same tracks, we're the same height. Everyone always asks me, are you good height for a hurdler? I'm like, I'm the same height as her and she's fast, so it's fine. And yeah, I really just looked at her and saw me.
And how do you feel now that you're potentially that person to others?
It's still weird. It's cool. But I'm still getting used to it because I feel like you grow up and you never really realize you're growing up. Just little things with my teammates, they'll say stuff to me. They'll tell me that I inspire them and I look at them. I look at us as equals, but I guess we're not right now in terms of career accomplishments. So they do look up to me. And I was explaining just little stuff, like I carry a purse to practice. My teammate just started carrying a purse to practice. And I was like, well, that because of me? Like, maybe. And I carry a purse to practice because of a girl who was my age now did it. So just little things.
It's just like a trickling influence. So
I tell people things now that people told me when I was training. But it is weird because I see my friends, and even if they're in their 20s, I'm like, oh, we're the same, we're all in our 20s. But I guess not. Yeah, I got to go to the Olympics, and they want to go too, so now I have this new level that inspires people, which is cool. It just kind of surprises me.
So you just go to one event, and now you're like, oh my gosh, what happened?
Yeah, I just had a big track meet, what do you mean? But yeah, I get to stuff like this, and I'm like, why do you want me to talk? I'm like, oh yeah, let's do Yeah, I used to watch all this kind of stuff that now I'm participating in, which is cool. I got to race against people I've only ever watched. I used to sit at home and watch their film, and now I'm side by side with you. It's cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for this question.
Okay.
So if you could go back and talk to yourself at 12 years old, or even 6 years old, because that was when you kind of fully were like, yes, I want to do it, what advice would you give to yourself?
The same advice I'd give to myself now, because I'm still learning it, just to be nicer to myself. Track is interesting, that it comes down to milliseconds, very detailed. I can do a rep that maybe a young athlete thinks is amazing, and you show it to my coach and he's like, no, wrong. I don't always have to be my harshest critic. I think that's what helped make me successful, but I don't always have to be on that all the time. I'm just learning to be nicer to myself. And I really think that was the difference leading into Paris. And I don't think I would have made Paris if I had the same harshness on myself that I did in college. I really just had to let it go.
Yeah, you can almost set up your own mental block without even realizing it, without putting that much pressure on yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. There was just so much shame that I wasn't an Olympian already. And I was kind of I had to just accept that you are where you are, be nice to yourself. I didn't want to ever post stuff about track because I didn't want people to see that I wasn't as fast as I wanted to be. And I eventually just decided, I am where I am, and I'm gonna just share it because it just is. But I feel like there's parts of every day where I can learn to be nicer to myself.
Yeah, thinking back to, so in high school, obviously you were the best of the best, competing at a high level. And then you go to the United States where competition is a bit tougher. Did you find that also kind of set you with a mental block of realizing that there's also amazing athletes here as well?
Yes, it's really weird to feel one way about yourself, but not be able to show it. I felt like I was just trapped behind a glass wall of here I am. I know I deserve to be here or I wouldn't be here, but I can't show you and I don't know why. And in hindsight, I just didn't know enough about the sport to know that training wasn't for me. I didn't trust myself enough to leave, so it stayed. I blamed myself for a lot of things. I didn't respect the sport enough to know that it takes time. I thought, oh, work hard, you get what you want, A to B always. And life is not always that fair, it's not always that simple. Yeah, so that it was hard to feel like I wasn't who I thought I was, but I am. I just not then, and that's okay. And I'm glad that I able to show who I am when it counted, because there was no Olympics for me to go to in college. I guess I could have gone to Rio, but I was ready when it was time.
That's amazing. It's like that little picture where you think it's going to be a staircase up, but really there's dips.
Yeah, it was so delusional. Like, no. Like, you work hard, you run fast. That was the only equation I knew. If you want to run faster, you got to work harder, but it's just not always that simple. There's so many factors.
Thank you. I just have one last question for you, and then I'm going to put it to the amazing audience to hear some of their questions. But I think it's one that we're all curious about is what's next?
Oh, yeah.
Future Olympics, or maybe like taking on other roles in sport? Like, what are you thinking?
LA 2028, first of all. My goal was to not just be an Olympian. That's step one, but I've always wanted a medal. That's always been the goal. I'll be 30 years old, 2028. I now know women peak later, so I should have given myself grace when I was younger. Hurdles is a very technical event. It takes a long time to learn. I just think I'll be ready by 2028, like even more so than now, so I'm going for a medal. But in the meantime, I have World Championships in September, which is a big thing too. I'm just now planning it.
Yeah, I gotta hype that up.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Yeah, it's like the next thing after the Olympics. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for answering my questions. And again, I would love to put it to you guys. I'll kind of be the runner for my mic, so if you have a question, you can just kind of wave or put your hand up, and I'll bring the mic over for you to share with Miriam.
Thank you so much. I have two questions. The first one is looking back at your career. I would just love to hear about some of your most influential coaches and what they have done or environments they have set up to, when you look back, you think, oh, that was a big moment, or that's what helped to make me succeed.
I would say the coach I have now, Anthony McCleary, the coach that when I left Texas, things were not going according to plan. I was injured, I wasn't running fast. I was in a completely different event. I used to be a 400-meter hurdler. I came home and it was really nice just to have a coach believe in me and take me as I was in that moment. I think part of what I was missing, it's easier when you're younger and I was running well for the coaches to feel great. I had great coaches throughout my career, but when I really needed someone to just look at me and say, yep, you're a little bit beat up, but you can do this, that's when it mattered more than when I was already doing well. I just give him so much credit for his patience and just reminding me that this is a process. They don't call it an Olympic cycle for fun. It really sometimes takes 4 years, and it really did. I watched each year get a little bit better, run a little bit faster, injuries are a little less. It was nice to just have someone come home to and believe in me. And he came out of retirement to coach me. Like, he did not have to do what he did, but he saw something in me and he was like, you got it. It was really nice to just have someone see you for who you think you could be too.
Amazing. Thanks for
Did I
that.
answer both questions?
No, I have a second question, but no, more. I'll save it for you.
Okay. Amen.
Any other questions?
Severe sports injuries, and if you did, how did you overcome them?
I'm actually a little injured right now, and going back to the whole patience piece, it's taking a lot longer than I planned. But if I look back on from when the injury started, it is going away, just slower than I planned. The worst might be Achilles pain, which is tough because you're on your feet all the time. You wake up, it hurts, which is like a daily reminder that you're in pain and you have to go through the day being in pain. what helped me was to really just go back to the basics. There's a lot of crazy stuff that you can find on the internet. Everybody wants to give different advice. You can take bits of every bit of it, but a lot of the time with these injuries, you just go back to the basics. It came down to me doing really boring drills multiple times a day, and then I woke up one day and I was okay. But the hardest part about being injured is keeping your mind calm and reminding yourself that, like, I don't know when this is gonna be better, but it will get better eventually. And I have to remind myself of that all the time because I'm a little injured right now. Yeah.
Whether that be mentally or physically, and how did you overcome it?
I think the biggest, it started physically with that Achilles, but it became mental, and I think that was harder. I needed to use my resources. I always try to do everything by myself, which I don't have to. I have great people, and I can use them. So in college, I finally got a therapist and started working through some of the stuff that was bigger than track, but affecting track. It's hard to do your sport at peak performance if there's so many other things going on in your head. So talk to your family, talk to your friends, talk to your coaches, talk to whoever you know is going to listen to you, because the mental turned out to be affecting my physical way more than I gave it credit for. I used to think that mental strength was just pushing yourself to do the last rep of a workout, but it's so much more than that. And it's not just mental strength, it's mental health, and it's a word you hear all the time, but I didn't really take into consideration what it meant. And the healthier and the stronger my brain was, the faster I ran. Which I think was part of why I stepped to the line of the Olympics. I just wasn't nervous because I was just like, you're ready. And even if you are nervous, it doesn't mean you're not ready. So I would say that the mental was more of a challenge than the physical, and to just use my resources because they're there to help me and you don't have to do it by yourself.
How can I recover from failure?
Recover from failure. Yeah, no, that's a great question. Don't take it personally because it's not personal. Just because you technically failed and you didn't score 3 goals that game or your team didn't win the game, it doesn't make you personally as a human a failure. That's just not true. It just means the sporting event didn't go as planned. So it's a lot easier to figure out what you did wrong in your sport or at school on your test if you separate yourself emotionally from it. So to never look at yourself as a failure and try to look at the actual mistakes that you made and then find someone to help you make sure you don't make those mistakes next time. If you make 5 mistakes in a game, try to just fix just one at a time, and you just got a little bit better. Yeah. This is my aunt. Hi.
For aspiring athletes, what would you tell them or impress upon them how important it is to surround yourself with a good core? You know, there are so many people that when you're climbing the ladder to success, no matter kind of how long the potential for, you know, how important is it to let them know that they have to surround themselves, not just good coaches, but good quality people who have you.
Oh, it's everything. It's really everything, especially just what it's like to surround yourself with a good core group of people. It's truly everything. Like, track is a very individual sport. It can feel very lonely. It can also make you the center of the stage if things are going well, which is nice. But when you look back on it, it takes a community of people for one person to do what they did. Like, I did not make it to the Olympics alone. I made it there because a coach decided to take a chance on me. I made it there because my parents saw something in me and decided to drive me to practice multiple times a week. I made it there because teachers allowed me to hand in an assignment late if I was super tired. I have friends that told me I was great no matter what. Siblings that told them, like, if I stop running track, they're like, we don't care. We just want to support you if you love it. A coach who wakes up with me at 6 a.m. to be here at the Ability Center, and then goes to work right after that. All of my therapists and treatment, like it takes a community. And I think just being in the sport for so long, you start to trust your gut and feel who's really there for you. And it's the people who love you no matter what. Nobody in my circle cares if I run track ever again, unless I want to. If I want to run, they'll support me, but if I don't, they love me anyways, and that's the people that you pick. Yeah, but it's truly everything. I get to sit here and talk, but if I had everybody here who helped me, there wouldn't be enough work.
I was just wondering what your training schedule looked like.
Yeah. Are you in high school?
I'm in grade 8.
Oh, grade 8, okay. So when I was in grade 8, I did track practice 3 times a week, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And then I played soccer, and I had soccer, I would say 2 times a week. Oh, you play soccer, right? Yeah. Oh, perfect. My parents let me do a lot of sports. Like they were, of course there's always the risk of injuries, but I really think when you're young, it's good to move your body in different ways. So I did a lot of stuff. So I felt like I was training at least 6 days a week, but not necessarily for track. 3 days a week for track, and I knew that was my focus. But then I would go and play soccer, and then I would join every school team. I played basketball, I played volleyball, I did track, I played soccer. And I think all of those things helped me. Like, I don't think that the endurance I got in soccer ever really leaves you. Like, I was a 400-meter hurdler for so long for a reason, and now when I run the 100-meter hurdles, I was like, okay, if I lose this race, it's not because of my endurance, because I put that work in. But 3 days a week for track and about 2 to 3 for soccer. Yeah. And just, if you feel tired, my parents would listen to my body. I didn't like to miss practice, but I didn't always go to practice and go 100%. If I was exhausted, if I was injured, I would go just to be around the team and keep my same schedule and to have their support. But I didn't always go hard every practice if I was tired. So if you do a lot, listen to your body. Now as a pro, all I do is track sports-wise, and I train 5 to 6 days a week. Yeah.
You were talking about like taking the time to look around when you're at the race and then locking in for that 12 seconds and then looking around again. What is going on for you mentally during that 12 seconds? Like that's such a short amount of time after lift training.
Yes. Part of a lot of the mental chatter to get myself in the right headspace happens before. It happens like, it goes through phases through the day. Like I wake up in the morning and I try to keep more calm because it's not time to get excited yet. Calm in the warm up. Then I start to put my fast shoes on, my spikes, and I start to get a little bit more hype, a little bit like honestly crazier because I'm about to sprint into 10 barriers at full speed, and that's not normal, and your body does not want to do it. So that's when you start getting a little bit crazy. And then I go through all the checkpoints, I try to stay a little bit calm again because, again, it's not time to race. Now I'm seeing all the competitors. Right before I did that walkout, taking it all in, they call my name on the big screen, I do the wave, dial in, get kind of crazy again. And I only think one thing when the gun goes, because there's too many things to think about. So I'm just thinking about getting out of the blocks really hard. As I'm running, there's a point in the 100-meter race where if you're doing it well, you black out. Sometimes I cross the finish line and I don't know what place it came, I don't know what happened. But I try to just keep one cue in my head, and that's how I like go, or get down, and off the hurdles and onto the track. I just try to keep one cue that makes me feel excited to keep in my head down the track. But for a couple hurdles, you do black out. Yeah, it's so fast. I tell people it kind of feels like Temple Run when you're playing, like running or something, and you gotta go again. That's what it feels like. You're running and there's a thing, and then all of a sudden it's over. But if I can think of one thing that keeps me focused and keeps me excited, it's not the same thing every race, because what if I'm feeling different that day? I just think I go through a list of a couple of different things that I have, pick one that makes me feel excited that day, and just think about that when I'm racing. And in Paris, it's get down, get down, get down, get down, because the race happens on the ground. Yeah. Was there a track specific answer?
It's too late to start doing track.
No, absolutely not. I wouldn't say it's too late to do a lot of the things you're dreaming about. But one example is, if you know Andre DeGrasse, if you follow track, he started his last year in high school, which is pretty late. Basketball background, didn't own spikes, and is now our most decorated track Olympian. And I started when I was 6 years old, and it's taking me longer to have that beautiful career that he has, but age doesn't really determine how you're gonna do and stuff. And I felt that way too. Like I felt like when I came home from college, I was already in my 20s, and I thought maybe it's too late for me. I should have, could have done this earlier. But you're only gonna be the age that you are right now, so you might as well start now.
That was a great question. I like
Yeah, that's good. I always have this nagging feeling like I'm too old for stuff and that I should stop. Especially when I get injured, I'm like, maybe I'm injured because I'm too old. I'm like, no, you're probably injured because you train really hard, and sometimes things that train really hard, they get hurt sometimes. But yeah, you're definitely not too young, too old to do anything.
Any more questions? No.
Hi, OJ.
I kind of just have more of a fun question. I know you said that you're coming to the center at 6 a.m. every day. How are you keeping things fresh? What's at the top of your playlist? Are you listening to podcasts? Like, how are we making that on our way here?
Oh my gosh. Yes, that is a fun question. The training for the past, did I train the whole Olympic? Yeah, I trained pretty much the whole Olympic cycle, 3 to 4 years, by myself, just me and my coach. And my practices here take so long, like I'm here for at least 4 hours. And I joke that there's a little apartment here that I'm just like, I might as well just move in. Like get the water running and I can move in. I'm here for so long. But I did start listening to podcasts. When I go for longer jogs, I listen to podcasts. I love when there's stories, because then I'm just kind of locked into a story. Yeah, like when I'm running, like actually doing the workout, I like listening to like more upbeat music. It keeps me going. Sometimes I'm just kind of like, okay, can I finish the workout before this podcast episode is over? But now I have teammates, so their lives keep me entertained. We always have new stories to tell each other about what happened the day before or the weekend or whatever. But yeah, I haven't had teammates in a couple years, and it's been nice because they help you get through. So at least you're tired together.
It is also a fun question. It's my one from earlier. I'm curious if you had to compete in a field event, which one would you compete in and why?
Long jump, 200%, without a doubt. I'm trying to do it right now, but my coach won't let me. He was like, you're like just about to become really good at your own event. Can you stop trying to long jump? Yeah, I'm gonna try and sneak it in though. Yeah, it's so much fun. I love the drama. I think that's why I love the big events. I love getting ready, getting dressed, the crowd. I love all the drama. And long jump has that drama like right before you go. You know, like the big clap, and you get the crowd going, and you hit the sand, and then you're like looking around to see what you jumped. And then the next person goes, and there's like a little bit of a story between like who's gonna get it, back and forth. I love that. So long jump, 200%. Yeah. If I have anything to do with it, I'll be long jumping within the next. Yeah. My coach won't help me though. I'll need to find another coach.
Do we have any more questions, friends? If I have a quick question, what are some changes that you would like to see in the sports world now that you've gone to the highest level? What are some changes that you would like to see? How would you contribute to those changes?
I like that you also asked how would I contribute, because then I can't just complain. Well, I'm gonna complain first. it'd be definitely better storytelling, especially in track. Like a lot of people, I go to track meets and I don't know who everyone is, I don't know who I am. And people's stories deserve to be told, and that's how you fall in love with athletes. You don't get to see them all the time, but you love their story. There's people who are superstars and don't have to do anything like social media wise because their story gets told so well, like marketed so well. And track athletes, I was just talking about this today, have to have almost like a second job. They have to come here and train for 1 million hours and then go get treatment and then go home and try to run a YouTube channel to like show their story. I'm exhausted and I'm not good at that. I am not good at that second part. I also don't feel like I should have to tell everybody everything. And I mean, but if I'm gonna tell something, I need help. So I've been reaching out to more people to just, can you come take pictures of me at practice? Can you come video me at practice? Like, and I have to sit down with myself and decide what I want to share, what I want that to look like, who I want to be for myself and for other athletes and for kids. But definitely the marketing piece, and I'm still figuring that out. Because that's everything, and that's gonna help. If you don't make so much money in the sport, like you can make money through other ways of like sponsorships. Because some people have like families to feed and they want to make a career out of this, and you should be able to. A lot of athletes train here and then go have a job after, and I'm like, that's so hard. It's so hard. So I'm lucky enough that I can just do track, but I feel like our stories deserve to be told more.
I was just wondering, so we saw you last year at the DF40s.
Oh yeah, I cried. I loved that. That was nostalgic for me. I couldn't stop crying.
So if I could hold the record here in the girls, but we were kind of wondering, are you going to be there this year at the tournament?
Oh, I would love to. I asked them to let me know when it is and come back. That meet was everything. Do you hurdle? Nice. which distances? Nice. The 200's a crazy event. 200 hurdles, full speed with like the going around the turn. Yeah. But I will I'll definitely, if I don't have a track meet, we'll definitely try to make it out. I love that meet. And to stay longer. Maybe I'll hand out some medals or something.
Considering your training schedule that's so rigorous, how often are you going out and competing? Are there frequent track meets? Do you stay in Canada? Do you go international? Just curious what that looks like.
Yeah, so a lot of the track meets, the bigger ones, they'll be in Europe, because I said Europe loves track. A lot of the track meets in Canada for the outdoor season start later because it's just cold here. But the outdoor season for everybody else, the rest of the world, starts as soon as the end of March. So I start traveling like right away. I'll be leaving this March and I'm gone again in April, and there can be meets like pretty much every weekend up until like national championships, which is in August. Yeah, but a lot of the time to go to the bigger, more competitive meets, I'm flying somewhere. There are some great Canadian meets though now. We have a circuit, I will say that. Yeah, but even still, I'm hopping on a plane.
Awesome. Do we have any other questions?
Thanks.
Last call. Okay, part of this event too is also some door prizes. So Mary, you would help me. Okay. We have 4 amazing door prizes. So first one, we have a Sport Check gift card. We have a Foot Locker gift card. We have 4 tickets to the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto.
You want to style
And a woman-owned small business in Whitby that I absolutely adore, Bakezilla. They have a goodie bag full of brownies and blondies, and there's a gift card in there too for $25. So some awesome prizes, and I have all your names in here for those who registered. And I'll let Miriam, which one should we do first? Ooh. Okay, hands up for Hockey Hall of Fame. Yeah, it's gonna be a vote. Okay, hands up for the brownies. Yeah, I just knew it was gonna be the brownies. Okay, we'll do the brownies first.
Thanapat? Is she here? Last name Recharoen. Thanapat. Gave him some brownies. James Stewart. Hey, there you go. Smart man.
Okay, you want to do a hotel thing next?
Yeah,
Alright, go for it.
I never win raffles, so I'm happy for you guys. Grace Gordon. Oh my gosh, wow. Did you guys drive together?
Do what, sir?
Did you guys drive here together? I was gonna say it's not gonna be awkward anymore. You both have prizes.
Okay, this is Carol. These are two of my friends that I told to come, so I did not bring it. I promise. The bucket is not just filled with James and Grace names. I promise everyone's names are in here. Alright, we'll do Foot Locker next.
Grace Lindsay.
And we got Sport Check.
Nice. Rachel Sinclair. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Amazing. So that wraps up our little International Women's Day event with Miriam. So thank you all so much for coming. We'll do.
Thanks for listening to me.
So it's not quite 7, so feel free to help yourself to coffee, hot chocolate we have in the back, and then if you have any other questions or want some photos with Miriam, like feel free to come up and chat.